Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, the left sure does love a good slogan. They just love being able to turn the old brain off and simply join the marching crew in the street, joining in on the mindless, drone-like chanting. Yep, nothing like turning your brain off and not having to even really engage in discussion or debate at all. Just close your eyes, block your ears, and chant no justice, no peace. And automatically, you've won every argument, I guess. You know, the left just loves a good slogan. They love just being able to rely on these vague concepts as a lazy default strategy into winning every argument. And of course, one of their favorite narratives is the concept of systemic racism, right? It's the catch-all, it's the explainer for everything. Systemic racism, you've heard it a million times. They just use it as a blanket term to automatically sound academic and win every argument, but there's generally never any basis behind this idea of systemic racism. They can't ever actually explain it. Where is this systemic racism against marginalized people actually happening? Where is it actually baked in the system? Well, they can never pull up that proof. But us, on the other hand, well, interestingly enough, I think we have stumbled upon actual examples of systemic racism, and it seems like that racism is coming from their side, from the exact elite leftist enclaves that push all these woke concepts and talking points. Yup, it's the universities themselves, namely the woke ones, are the only ones engaging in actual systemic racism. Ironically enough, considering they're the ones who invented the term. That's the topic of today's video. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so actually what inspired this video was a chart. You see, I love data, but I'm not prone to being super technical, getting into all the numbers, spending my days in spreadsheets, and really I'm more of a visual person. So you know what I love? I love it when data is visualized, because that right there is where you can tell the story to the masses and pretty much everybody gets it. You know, you mix both mediums in a sense. It makes sense in terms of the numbers and makes sense visually. And this popped up on my timeline earlier, which honestly just floored me. Take a look. Here we have medical school acceptance rates, the percentage of students accepted, then divvied up by race, and then of course accounting for their academic achievement. And instantly, I don't even really need to say it now, do I? We can all see it. This is systemic racism visualized. The lower the test scores get, the more you start to see the disparity. The more it seems that white and Asian students are strictly being discriminated against. I mean, in a fair, in a just world, in a non-racist world that the left is always dreaming about, I feel like the general body of the chart would probably look more something like this. I drew this little red ramp, let's call it. You know, in a just world, all races would be achieving relatively equally. I'm sure there could be some socio-cultural differences, but let's just say for conversation's sake, in a utopian world where we truly moved beyond race, that's what you'd expect to see. That would be true progress. Everybody performing around the same trends, around the same line. But instead, no, we have this. And clearly we've identified something here. I think it's this portion. We just highlight it right over here. I think we've finally found it, what the left's been going on and on and on for years, but has never actually been able to define or explain. They've never been able to actually find it and show it. Systemic racism. Here it is for everybody to see. This is the academic institution's systemic system of discrimination against white and Asian students. This isn't equal opportunity. It's not a meritocracy. It's just straight up a system of discrimination. And so going back to the initial point, the only racism that's actually built into a system is what we're seeing here that's playing out in broad daylight. These left-wing policies and structures that have been put in place in the pursuit of equity. You know, the irony, the hypocrisy is off the charts on this one. The same people who constantly scream and screech about the whole system being rigged against particular people are the same people who then turn around and reinforce segregation by essentially making it official policy in academic and corporate institutions by treating different groups and different racial groups differently. You know, it's like the script has been flipped and they don't even realize that they're now driving the racism bus. But thankfully, people are waking up and it seems we're moving in the right direction here. I mean, just take a look at what the Supreme Court said in cases like Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard, the landmark Supreme Court decision in which the court held that race-based affirmative action programs in college admissions violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. You know, it got hammered home that you can't just keep using race as a cheat code for admissions. And the court finally called BS, and it's about time. There's no defense for this, you know, just bring back the chart. chart just so it's visually striking. There's no defense for this. It's simply discrimination. The Supreme Court said as much.
The Supreme Court has ended affirmative action. Universities can no longer accept or deny college applications based on race. At Harvard, a black applicant, the cream of the crop, had 56% chance to get accepted, while whites and Asians with the same qualifications had just about a 15% chance. A black applicant who's at the bottom half of his chart had a higher chance to get in than a top Asian or white student. And the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that's unconstitutional racial discrimination prohibited by the Equal Protection Clause, the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts, who authored the majority, says this, quote, eliminating racial discrimination means eliminating all of it. The guarantee of equal protection cannot mean one thing when applied to one individual and something else when applied to a person of another color. Roberts is saying, basically, you can't unfairly discriminate against whites in order to help blacks. All discrimination's wrong. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote this. The court sees the university's policies for what they are, rudderless, race-based preferences designed to ensure a particular racial mix in their entering classes. Those policies fly in the face of our colorblind Constitution and our nation's equality ideal.
It's pretty simple. If you're using race as a factor in your admissions, you're basically telling certain groups of people, well, no, you're not getting the position that you're clearly qualified for because you've got the wrong skin color. Or on the other end, you're essentially saying, wow, look, lucky you. You've got the perfect skin complexion to get bonus points here on your resume. You're hired or you're granted admission. It's simply unconstitutional. It flies in the face of the whole equal treatment thing. You're judging people on race rather than judging individuals based on their merit. And whether you're doing it for some supposed noble cause or not, at the end of the day, on the other side of that preferential treatment is discrimination. And the leftoids simply can't run away from that. And that's why these systems that they've built, keyword system, that's why they're crumbling apart. Again, across the academic and corporate world. In academia, it's called affirmative action. In the corporate world, it's called DEI. And of course, now we're watching DEI departments essentially falling apart across industries. It's the end of race-based admissions and the downfall of DEI. You know, throughout the year, we've covered so many headlines of not just big companies slashing their DEI departments, but entire industries slashing 90% of these jobs. We're talking about the total collapse of DEI, the total collapse of left-wing systemic racism, I guess. And really, if you think about it as well, the result of the last election kind of felt like a resounding rejection of DEI. The Donald versus the Democrats' DEI hire. And well, I'd say the result spoke for itself. People are sick of state-sanctioned, corporate-sanctioned racial discrimination. They're done with the cultural Marxism. They're done with this concept of equity. It seems like we've finally reached a turning point. It seems like we're finally coming to an end here. This era of actual left-wing systemic racist policies all seem to be on the way out here. Now let's just hope the left-wing identity politics grift goes with it. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Just a cool chart that I thought I'd show you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.